What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode. And as always, whether you have been rocking with me since day one or this is your day one, I truly appreciate each and every single one of you for taking time out of your day to hit play and spend time with me. So I truly, truly, truly appreciate each and every single one of you for tuning in. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I say this a lot on different episodes, but I'm really excited for today's conversation that we're about to get into. I feel like some gems are broiling or boiling up with inside of me, so stay tuned, get your notepads ready. And yeah, before we get there though, I just want to say that I have something exciting to share, and I feel like it's one of those things where I feel like really, really excited about it because I also know the behind the scenes work that it took to bring this to life. But I don't know how excited you guys are going to be, so you're going to have to let me know. But drum roll is that StayStrongStayYou.com is officially live. I have had so many people tell me that I need to claim StayStrongStayYou.com as my domain, and it is now my domain, our domain, because Stay Strong Stay You is not just a me thing, it is a we thing. So you can now go to StayStrongStayYou.com to learn more about me, to book me for your next speaking engagement or your next event, whatever it may be, to grab one of my ebooks or to submit your win for the celebration station, which I would love for you to do because again, we don't have anybody to celebrate today, and I really, really, really love to celebrate you guys. So if you don't know what celebration station is, it is where we celebrate you so you know that you have a place to be seen and celebrated. And we celebrate all life wins, no matter how big or small, we celebrate them all because it is those small wins that lead to the greater results in the future. So you can now submit your wins by going to StayStrongStayYou.com. It is live, and I would honestly love to hear your guys' feedback on what your thoughts are of the website because listen, your homegirl here is not a website designer, but I designed this website. So check it out and let me know your feedback and your thoughts of how it all came out. So look forward to hearing your guys' feedback. So I'm really, really excited about this episode. I feel like it's really for those who are questioning what do you do when life forces a decision you didn't plan for, or for those who are feeling burnt out or questioning if it's time for you to walk out on faith and start a new chapter within your life. This is going to be the episode for you. And at the very end, I am going to share 7 tips for starting a new chapter. So stay tuned for that. But this is also going to be the episode where I talk about my decision of being able to walk out on faith and start a new chapter here in Tacoma, Washington. So if you guys are new here, just for a little bit of pre-context, in 2016, I was living outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, have lived there for 23 years of my life, and was kind of ready for a new chapter and figuring out kind of what to live for. And my sister and brother-in-law gave me the amazing opportunity to pack up my bags and move across country and move in with them to help take care of my 3-month-old niece at that time. She is much older now. And I think if you had told me that I'd be moving to the Pacific Northwest, where our winters are long and gray and rainy and seasonal depression is a very big thing out here, I don't think I would have moved. But I'm so grateful that that's not how they approached the conversation and told me why I should start a new chapter over here. And that the reason was my niece, because honestly, starting a new chapter in the Pacific Northwest has been one of the greatest gifts that I've been able to receive. And I do find it amazing that I was able to build a greater version of myself. And honestly, at that time, Oregon and Washington were in, I think that it was the top 10 at the time of the most depressed states because of how much rain and kind of cloudiness that we lived through. And it's still amazing to look back on. So that is what ultimately like brought me to Portland if you're new here. So, towards the end of 2023, I had been living in Portland for 7 years, so I was comfortable kind of with the city as well as having my go-to places to be able to get out into nature and be able to protect my peace. I did have a steady job as a caregiver in the healthcare field. And for the most part, I think I was pretty happy with the job that I had. At the same time, I'm not gonna lie, like I had been a caregiver throughout the pandemic, and I did have times prior to what happened towards the end of 2023, and we'll get there in a moment. There were times earlier that I had thought about quitting, and actually I had put in like a 3 month notice letting them know that I was going to be leaving. And that was me trying to be like, okay, I'm gonna hold myself accountable to like figure out where I want to move to next. Nothing played out. I'm not gonna lie. Like I had to recognize in that moment when it was all trickling and unfolding that nothing was kind of turning out the way I wanted to, or really in any way. Like, God was like, no, this is not the time for you to move or do anything right now. Like, I need you to stay put. And I heard that loud and clear at one point, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay put. You clearly are working on my next chapter, and I'm not in control of the pen, God. You take the pen and you write the next chapter of my life. And when I see you open the door, I will pray about it and I will walk through the door that you open for me. As of right now, though, I will stay put, in whatever lessons you need to teach me in this season of my life, I am willing to learn. And I'm not going to lie, there are specific things that I had to learn by continuing to stay put. I had to learn how to create healthy boundaries at work and with certain people within my life. There were multiple lessons that I had to learn while staying put and having my eyes and my heart ready for the door that I knew was going to be eventually opening. And at the same time, while I was in Portland, I at times did sort of feel very isolated. I had no family in state. I really had only community in work and at the gym, and I had a really difficult time building community outside of those two places for a wide variety of different reasons. But it did lead to the sense of loneliness. It did lead to feeling isolated at times. And I didn't know when or what was going to be the next door that God was going to open for me, but I was still continuing to just have an open heart of what was ever going to come, what was going to come. So, towards the end of 2023, I, for context, had been living in a house with five guys. Yes, at one point I called it Five Guys Burgers and Fries because there was a point where I lived with five guys who genuinely loved to cook burgers and fries and just barbecue. Like it honestly was a really, really great place to live overall, and there were some challenges towards the end, which is why my landlord announced to me towards the end of 2023 that he was going to be selling the house. And that sparked the question, do I stay or do I go? Because again, I had a steady job with a steady income. I had been living there for 7 years, so I kind of knew the area. And at the same time, I was burnt out. And I think it's a reminder that burnout doesn't always scream, but it will whisper until you can't ignore it anymore. Oh, that was a gem. Burnout doesn't always whisper, or burnout doesn't always scream. It whispers until you can't ignore it anymore. I like that because it did kind of creep up on me. And it was whispering here and there. And I think in some ways I was in denial. However, when I was given that news that my house was going to be sold, I had to figure out what to do. And I took the practical aspect of sitting down and writing out the pros and cons because that was a very helpful way for me to see visually where there were more pros for the places that I was considering to move. Because I was thinking about staying in Oregon. I was thinking about moving to Texas because I have family down there, friends down there as well. And I was thinking about Tacoma, Washington. So being able to see physically on paper the pros and cons was a really powerful thing for me to do. The other thing that I did was spend a lot of time in prayer with it. And one thing I did was I took time to be able to discover my future peace to help give me peace in that moment and make the decision that I needed to make, knowing that I was still going to have to walk through moments of fear, of uncertainty, knowing that it wasn't going to necessarily be easy getting into that future peace, but that it was to come. And overall, give me a really good sense of where I felt God was leading me. And I think it's just a reminder that faith isn't knowing the whole plan, it's walking into the unknown because peace lives there. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. Faith isn't knowing the whole plan, it's walking into the unknown because peace lives there. Again, that was me discovering my future peace to help give me peace in the moment in making a difficult decision. So eventually, I did make the decision to move to Tacoma, Washington. And now, listen, I had no job lined up. I had three anchors in place. I knew I'd family down the street, roof over my head, and that my mental health was a priority. However, I still had the fear and the uncertainty of what was to come. What was my job going to be? Was I going to be able to figure out it all out? And I do just want to say a huge shout out to my family again for helping me make another move because this wouldn't have been possible without them. But I'm so grateful for the opportunity to move to yet another state and open another chapter within my life. And I packed up my bags and I drove up here. And I remember stepping into this chapter and really taking time to recognize that I had to allow myself the time to grieve the old life that I lived. I had to give myself permission to let go of the life that I lived in Portland, the life that I had as a caregiver in the healthcare field, and the routine that I had within that role and within my life at that time. Because when I moved up here, I didn't have a routine. I didn't have to wake up and go to a job right away because I didn't have a job at the time. So it gave me this time to be able to grieve the life that I had previously been living and really also grieve that caregiver loss, which I think honestly is like a whole different topic and a whole different episode that I could dive into. But really having to grieve the fact that, I was supporting individuals almost every single day in their daily life, seeing them every single day. And to go from that to no longer seeing them, that took a toll on me. And I had to process that and recognize that not only do I have to grieve that routine and seeing those familiar faces, but I also need to provide them with the opportunity of grieving and kind of letting go and stepping into their new normal because we needed to be able to both step into our new realities. However, I will say that I am very grateful for the fact that I worked for Large Portland as my previous place of employment when I left because Large does a beautiful job of wanting to allow the relationships that were built with the core members, or as most people would know, residents, as long as it's mutual, respectful, all of that, they are in support of the relationships being continued on as friendships. And I think that's such a beautiful, beautiful thing to do because I can't tell you how many people, having been in the healthcare field for so long, that there are still people today that I wonder how they're doing, what's going on in their life. Did they ever grow in this section or that section? There's also certain people that I wonder how their health is doing. Certain people I wonder, are they even alive? And I have no way of knowing because that connection, that relationship was no longer able to be continued. You know what I mean? So it took time to be able to provide myself with space while also having time to connect with them when I felt appropriate or when they called me. And yeah, that was just something that I was very grateful for. So it was giving myself permission to be able to rest. It was allowing myself to grieve the life that I once lived. But it was also this mental and emotional toll of starting over at the same time. And it was almost like learning to honor your grief, even for good changes. You know what I mean? Because I'm grieving this, but I also know the good that is to come with the chapter that is beginning and about to blossom. And I think it's just a reminder that you can be grateful for the future and still mourn the past. That is not weakness, that is healing. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. You can be grateful for the future and still mourn the past. That isn't weakness. That's healing, my friend. Like those two things can coexist. And it's a beautiful place to be when you can just sit and fully allow yourself to look forward to the future and the life that you are looking to create while also missing some of the previous chapter. So, stepped into Tacoma, and I'm not gonna lie, like I had to take what I didn't do very well when I first moved across the country and implement it into moving to Tacoma. And that was like networking. I had done some networking and like all of that when I moved across country, but it was more like on apps, and I didn't always have the greatest experiences going to some places. And then I just got in a relationship, and I like that became, you know, a big part of my life, and I didn't do much like socializing outside of that relationship. So learned a lot by moving across the country and starting a new chapter there. So I was like, okay, this is what I want to do this time. I want to network. I want to go to community events. I want to volunteer somewhere. And even though I am a big-hearted extrovert, and I enjoy stepping into new places, I'm not gonna lie. I had to constantly remind myself that I am deserving of getting into new rooms. I am deserving of good people being around me. And not only that, people deserve to know who I am. I had to constantly kind of pump myself up before I entered new rooms and started meeting new people. And I'm not gonna lie, at the same time, sometimes it was exhausting. Constantly putting myself out there or constantly going to like networking events. But at the same time, I was like, I also don't want to just not do anything and, just continue to feel isolated like I had previously. So it's like, you know what? I'd rather be exhausted from like putting myself out there, constantly changing my mindset and figuring out where I want to create community. And I think that's the other thing is like it's not only reminding yourself, because I want to remind you too that you deserve to be around good people. You deserve to let others know who you are, because otherwise you are robbing somebody else of what you bring to the table. You are robbing somebody else of the greatness that you have within inside of you. So you're doing somebody else a disservice by not getting in the room. Get in the room because you freaking deserve to be in the room. And I know it's always hard. Even as my extroverted self, there are times where, listen, I get tired of peopling. But that's when I go to my quality me time, refill my cup, and that can be as long as it may need to be. But then I go back out and start peopling again. All right. Um. So was doing a lot of kind of networking, putting myself out into different communities, figuring out where I wanted to go, because I feel like it's also trial and error, right? Trial and error, different communities to feel where is right for you. And it's okay to recognize that some places may not be for you. There are some places that I walked in and like within 15, 20 minutes, I was like, this is not for me. And I honestly walked out. And I felt fine. No apologies. Nope. You can just silently remove yourself from a room that you do not feel like is right for you. Give yourself permission to do so. Or if you don't feel comfortable walking out while the event's going on, you don't have to return. Always, you know? So, I've been doing a lot of networking, also knew that I wanted to volunteer. Now, NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness, had been a part of my journey in different aspects of different chapters of my life. So it was in my life, which when I stepped out into the war of recovery and where I began to learn about self-harm, where I began to learn more about domestic violence and mental illnesses in general. It was a part of my life when I moved across country and did some support groups in the beginning. It was also a part of my life right before I moved to Tacoma, Washington, because I did have a lot of really heightened anxiety of what to do. And then moving and getting into Tacoma, I'd seen that there was a NAMI Pierce County. So I was like, oh, maybe I should get involved with NAMI Pierce County and see if I can volunteer. So I got in and I started volunteering. I volunteered twice, and it wasn't until after that they were like, hey, we have a job position that's opening and we think you should apply. So I applied, and that's when I was hired during Mental Health Awareness Month as the Ending the Silence coordinator. I was hired part-time, and now, fast forward a little over a year, I am now the program coordinator full-time with NAMI Pierce County. And it honestly has been like an amazing year with them. I've grown so much. I've learned so much. And it really just felt like kind of this full circle moment of being back in Pennsylvania when I was first stepping out into the war of recovery after coming out of a domestic violence relationship and really struggling with my mental health, to now be starting a second chapter in my third state that I've lived in. So it really just felt like this beautiful, beautiful moment of being hired by NAMI. And again, shout out to my NAMI Pierce County family. I love you all. But there's also this amazing alignment moment that happens when I moved to Tacoma, Washington. I think it was like 3 months after moving to Tacoma, Washington. This burger place called Radner's opened. So 3 months after moving here, Radner's Burgers opens. And to some, you may be like, okay, a burger place opens, right? Cool. Let's all go check it out. And I did. It's amazing. If you live in Tacoma, Washington, please go check out Radner's because they are absolutely delicious, right? But what most people don't know is that I grew up in Radnor Township. I graduated from Radnor High School. And I know it was Radnor Burgers, but the fact that it had Radnor in it, because nobody else had heard of Radnor, and here I am like, what do you mean, Radnor? Like, don't you mean like Radnor Township, Radnor High School? Like, it was just this moment of like, this is where I feel like I'm supposed to be. I feel like this is a sign that this is right. And realizing that, Tacoma was about to be home. And I feel like, yeah, it was just a moment where I just like had this like really great sense of peace and understanding at the same time that like, how do I want to say this? Having this like I did it moment, having this moment of having all of these different signs and all of that, but also having this really great internal peace and pursuing what felt right for me, even when it was scary, even when it was hard, even when it was challenging, even when I felt like, did I make the right decision? Because there were some moments that I felt like, uh-oh, did I make the right decision? Like, I don't know. Maybe I should go back. Thankfully there were only a few moments like that. But it just makes me think about how peace isn't found in a place. It's found in the choice to pursue what feels right, even if it's scary. Peace isn't found in a place. It's found in the choice to pursue what feels right, even if it's scary. It's embracing the yuck, it's embracing the fear, knowing that by you embracing that fear can fuel your freedom. I'm going to say that again. The fear can fuel your freedom, but you have to make that choice in what feels right to you. Listen to your guts and what feels right within your heart. Discover the future peace to help you give you peace in the moment and make that difficult decision. So, I want to start wrapping up, but before we wrap up, I just want to give you 7 tips that came to my mind when I thought about starting a new chapter. So, number 1, check in with your burnout. Don't normalize exhaustion. It's okay to rest. It is okay to hit the pause button. It's just not okay to give up. Check in on your burnout. What have you been putting on the back burner that needs to come to the front burner and become a priority? Is it your rest? Is it you spending time out in nature? Is it you getting active? Is it you getting back into therapy? What is that thing that has been on the back burner that you need to bring back onto the front burner? And we will go through a whole other episode on how to burn the burnout because that is a speaking engagement that I can do and love doing with caregivers. So we will do it. It will be a much longer episode, but stay tuned and get ready for that. So, number 2, let peace, not fear, lead the decision. Let peace, not fear, lead the decision. What is that future peace that is going to push you and help you discover how to make the next step, how to start this new chapter within your life that is going to give you peace in this moment, knowing that you are making a decision that feels right for you. Number 3, you don't need all the answers to make a move. You don't need all the answers to make a move. I don't know about you, but I feel like sometimes if I have all of the answers, I get even more terrified because I'm like, I don't like to be a know-it-all, but I'm also like, this feels too good to be true. And I sometimes enjoy the discovery of what's going to happen and kind of living with a little bit of curiosity. I think that's healthy. I think it's healthy to have curiosity. And I think it's also just knowing that God's got you either way. You know, what's to come, either way, God's got you and God's got your back. He's going to help you. He's going to help you get through it. So you do not need all of the answers to make a move. Just take a step. And once you take 1 step, take 2 steps. Once you take 2 steps, take 3 steps. And keep on walking 1 foot in front of the other. Because you will get there. Remember, it's not a microwaved result. It takes time. Number 4, grieve intentionally. Healing is part of the process. And again, you can have those 2 co-emotions of feeling excited for the future while still grieving the life that you once had. You can still have those 2 mixed emotions of being excited but being fearful. But allow yourself to grieve in whatever way that looks like for you. And know that it's okay to hit the pause button, to give yourself that permission to grieve intentionally. Which kind of goes into number 5. Take small, brave steps. Maybe that step for you is hitting the pause button and allowing yourself to have your quality me time. Maybe that next step for you is finding a therapist that you can work with as you step into this next chapter, or help you even before that figure out what step you're going to take. I think there's beauty in having a mentor or another person alongside of you who can help you within your discernment. Maybe your next step is volunteering. Maybe your next step is attending events. Maybe your next step is sending a message to somebody locally. Maybe your next step is downloading, I don't know, Eventbrite, or what's that other app? Meetup, and finding the next community event that's happening near you and stepping out on courage and going alone. Don't be afraid to go out alone either. Like, there's such beauty in being able to take yourself out on a date or being able to go out and enjoy life with yourself. Like, you do not always need to depend on other people for your happiness. If anything, you are robbing yourself of so many different opportunities and events and parts of life by waiting for somebody else to go to that event with you. If you want to go, go. Like, come on now. I understand sometimes it's more fun with other people, but also don't rob yourself of the opportunity of the amazing event that's happening or the movie you want to see or whatever it may be. Go, go, enjoy it by yourself. You know, some of my favorite moments have been me taking myself out on a dinner date and people watching. Like, I freaking love that for me. Like, I love people watching, not gonna lie, in the most loving and respectful way, obviously. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Okay, on to the next one because I could down a rabbit hole with that. Number 6, the right job, space, and people take time. So be patient. Remember, it's trial and error. And you have to allow relationships and different things within your life to be fluid and have the continued trust in God that the right people will come your way. Just be patient and continue to put yourself out there. Number 7, look for signs that you're on the right path. They're often subtle, but they're powerful. Radner's was a very subtle but very loud sign, I feel like, for me. Having recognized that NAMI was a full circle was a sign for me that Tacoma was my greatest decision for this chapter. So look for the signs. So just real quick to go over those 7 tips, grab your paper and pen in case you want to write them down. I'm just going to go through them all without going down a rabbit hole. You ready? 7 tips for starting a new chapter. 1, check in with your burnout. Do not normalize exhaustion. Number 2, let peace, not fear, lead the decision. Discover your future peace to give you peace in the moment and help you make the hard decision. Number 3, you don't need all the answers to make a move. Number 4, grieve intentionally. Healing is part of the process. Number 5, take small, brave steps. Volunteer, attend events, DM someone local, connect with a therapist. Whatever small step is right for you. It's one small step in front of the other. Number 6, the right job, space, and people take time. Be patient and continue putting yourself out there because you deserve to be around the right people and in the right spaces. Number 7, look for signs that you're on the right path. They're often subtle, but powerful. So, that's all I got for you guys. I just want to say and kind of remind you guys that starting over isn't a detour. It's often the most direct path to who you are becoming. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. Starting over isn't a detour. It's often the most direct path to who you are becoming. So take that step of courage, walk out on faith, and go create your next chapter. Because who you are about to become is something so unbelievably amazing and beautiful and powerful. And I cannot wait to see the person that you are going to be and blossom through. So, I love each and every single one of you. Thank you again for being here with me. And I encourage you guys, if you are standing in or at that crossroads, that this is your sign to listen to that gut, listen to your peace. And I just invite you to reflect on where do you feel stuck? What would it take for you to move forward? And, you know, I'm always here for you guys if you need to brainstorm that, if you want to connect or anything. I'm always in my DMs and connecting with you guys. And I love each and every single one of you. Truly want to see each and every single one of you continue to create a greater version of yourself. And know that your strength is giving your pain a voice and receiving the help that you need while staying true to who you are. But as always, no matter what, stay strong, stay you, because you got this. I love you guys, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.